Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. This meeting of online presenters has begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or a former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 official Toastmaster speeches. If you have had substantial relevant presentation experience, you may apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of our club. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and any role you're playing in this meeting, if any. Simply right-click and select Rename in order to do so. Please remember we have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or just otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording the meeting and your video and audio may contribute to our club marketing efforts. Also, when you are not speaking, we ask that you please mute your microphone. Now join me in welcoming to the digital stage our president, Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting meeting of online presenters. Mr. Immediate Past President, so wonderful to see you joining us. I know it's late there. Thank you for staying up late and being with us. Dr. Hall, nice of you to be back. It's great that you have finished your trip and now you'll be joining us once again. And also welcome to a returning guest, Petra from Thailand. Very nice to see you as well. We have I'm not going to say a packed agenda because we normally do have 3 speeches as opposed to 2, but I know our topics master is on alert to come up with some additional topics as best she can. What that means is that everyone will most certainly have a chance to speak, which is great because we have a lot of members in our club and sometimes that can be difficult to achieve. So I'm really looking forward to tonight's meeting. I am going to turn things over to our Vice President Education, Mr. Andrew Byrne, for a brief educational moment before he then turns things over to our Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Byrne.
Thank you very much, Lou. I'm going to share 2 things. First, if you go into your chat, you'll see that I left a document that on October 22nd, it's a day of celebration. You can see this when you go into the Toastmaster International site. It's right on the front splash page, and it's in celebration 97 years of Smedley, and they're doing a special program. If you're worried, gee, it's during the day, I can't get to see it, guess what? They've already anticipated that. You can sign up for a recorded version of the program and put yourself down for that. I recommend that for everybody. Next, if the sharing function is turned on, is it, Angela? I'm going to try and share something with everybody. Okay.
Sharing function is on.
Okay. Second.
You need to turn on audio.
Share the sound.
Yeah, I did turn it on, so I'm just looking to see what happened there. One more quick second. It's turned on, it's turned on. Okay, didn't come through. Carl, do you have this readily and could you share it from your vantage point?
Let me see. It's going to take me just a second to find it here.
Okay, what the video is Carl participated in a speakathon this past Sunday, and Donna was there as well. We spent about 90 minutes. Carl gave a 20-minute speech a presentation that he's going to be delivering to some very important people that will also impact his business. And then we spent the rest of the time breaking it down step by step, line by line, and making it the best that it could be. And I asked Carl that if he had some comments about the experience in the Speakathon, could he provide that to us? And he sent me this video, and for some reason, I heard the sound on my end. I clicked the sound for the distribution, but it didn't go through. Carl, are you having any better success?
Just about ready here.
Okay, go whenever you have.
Hi, everybody. Carl Walsh here. I just finished a Speakathon session with Andrew and with Donna. This is a program that Andrew's been trying to get off the ground for a while now. Not many people have been participating. It's a program where on a Sunday you can give a speech that you need to give, perhaps to complete a pathways, or even something longer, something in the 20-minute range. Well, I said that not many people have been participating, and all I can say to that is my gain and your loss, because the three of us sat here for almost 90 minutes, 20 minutes for me to deliver my speech and the rest of it, taking it apart, interacting, coming up with ways to improve it and make it better. If you're not participating in this, why not? Spoiler alert. If you have a message that you want to get out to the world, nobody's interested in a 5 to 7 minute speech. It's a training tool. And this is nothing against Toastmasters. This is a great program that has helped countless people over many decades. And these training tools work, but it's not how you deliver to the world. Have you got something inside you that just, if people knew about it, could you improve their lives a little bit? Could you improve the world a little bit? This is where you do it. This is where you get to bring your speech, hone it, take it apart, really go after it. 2 to 3 minute evaluation, really? You think that's going to really get down to the meat of the matter? If so, well, there ain't much meat there, is there? Seriously. If you want to learn how to speak, if you want to test yourself, use the tools that you've learned in Toastmasters, put yourself into the long speech format, come to these Sunday speakathons, help other people if you're not speaking, but by all means, get in here, do it, hone your message, get it out to the world. Thanks.
And thank you very much, Carl. We appreciated your testimony. We'll probably use it in our efforts for bringing in new people to the club, but it also demonstrates some of the soft skills you're learning that can be applied to real life, and everyone in the club can learn, whether it's doing testimonial videos or whether it's doing podcasts or something else. There's a lot of skills that we can pick up that can be directly applied to your real life situation, your job. Those are the two things that I wanted to bring your attention to, the October 22nd date, as well as the video that Carl did. I turn it back to you. Turn it back to you, Presiding Officer Lou Brown.
All right, thank you, Mr. VPE, for that message. And thank you, Carl. That is, yes, an excellent testimonial to the value of those speakathons, especially when it comes to the 20-minute speeches. I'm not sure we can even fit one in at all in these meetings here on our regular weekly meetings. Okay, we're ready to get things rocking and rolling. Our Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Graham Cairns, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good, sir. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody. Welcome along, Toastmasters and friends. I am Graham Cairns, and I am your Toastmaster of the day. And I am proof that no matter how bad your Monday is, there is always a tomorrow because I and a few other people here are living in it. So we're proof that things keep going. They may not get better, but they do keep going. I've got a number of people who are assisting me in my roles tonight. Before I do, I'm going to introduce the theme for the meeting and also the word for the meeting, because some of these assistants may wish to use this. The theme for the meeting is friendship. I chose friendship because, well, I can't think of anything more important in these most difficult times than the friendship that I get from my fellow Toastmasters, the friendship that I make with people that I meet in the street. I'm one of those people who'll shake hands with the devil himself, not because I'm evil, but just because I am so affable, which is the word of the day for today. Affable, to be friendly, to be talkative, to be an agreeable and affable friend. So try to use the word affable. I'm sorry, Mr. Grammarian, if I've just stolen some of your thunder, but I chose the word, so I'm going to use it. Be friendly, be affable. Now let's find out who's going to be assisting me in various roles here today. And the first is the R counter, who's already had some work to do, I just noticed. Andre, what will you be doing as R counter today?
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Oh, sorry, I just forgotten. Graham Carnes. Well, the general disabled, so not disabled, so big master. You see, I'm already doing so many R counts and so on and so on. This is what I will be looking for. My job as an R counter is counts, R's, you knows, and other speech fillers. And an example, as I demonstrated before, is what exactly I will be looking out for. And in the end of the meeting, I will be giving my short and concise, I hope, report. I would like to make it to 20 minutes if I could, but for that, I would probably have to come to our speechathons, and where you can get when you join our club. So back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Andre. Now, we are a polyglot membership here. We have people for whom English is not their first language, but we all do speak in English. And so the role of the grammarian is fairly important to look at how we use the language, whether we make any egregious errors or whether there are magnificent flights of fancy. But to observe our grammar and to make comments on it is our grammarian for this evening, Andy Byrne. Dr. Byrne, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Graham. The purpose of the grammarian is to perform the active listening, to listen to what everybody says, to listen to sentence structure, and of course, to listen to the word of the day. A little bit of confusion there. Graham has chosen affable. I have put out glib. Whatever you want to do, use effective words in your structure, paint word pictures, and use Graham's other really good word, polyglot. I haven't heard that one before. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Grammarian. Well, if the grammarian is listening to what's happening, then logically the watcher is, well, let's find out. April, what will you be doing as watcher today?
Thank you, Toastmaster Graham. My role as an affable watcher is to watch carefully for everyone's body language, backgrounds, and framing, and hopefully to ensure there's no glibs. When called upon, I will give my report. Back to you, Toastmaster Graham.
Thank you, April. And we shall try to stay centered. Can't stay centered when we're typing, though. And that's what Lou will be watching, the chat. Lou?
Yes, sir. Chat monitor. I monitor the chat as the role name implies. And we are already off to a good start with Mr. VPE putting the link, or somebody put the link to the day of celebration in the chat. I'm sure any other juicy news that comes along, I will note it and share it with you at the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you, Lou. The other role that Lou has is he watches the chat to make sure that I, as Toastmaster of the evening, don't miss anything. Now, to the vote counter. And this club does something a little unusual with vote counting. Are we going to do that tonight? We will find out. Evelyn.
Hi, everyone. Today is my role as a vote counter, and I'll be counting votes for the best and most affable speakers, evaluators, and table topic speakers. Back to Toastmasters.
Thank you, Evelyn. And we'll find out a little later how you can vote, whether we will be using the super whiz-bang technological fix that David has come up with, or whether we'll be using the old style send me your votes in the chat. Evelyn will tell us a little later. But one of the people that you will be voting on, well, perhaps, depends on whether he wins or not, is our first speaker tonight. We have two speakers, and our first speaker is Hector Cabrera. Hector is doing a speech from the persuasive influence path. And this is an interesting one. He's doing a level 2 learning your style. This is understanding your leadership style. This is a project which obviously is about understanding leadership. And for the past 9 years, Hector has worked as a product manager for the sheet business of Saudi Arabia Basics Industry Corporation. Now, that's the second most valuable brand in the chemical industry. Today, he'll share with us how his leadership style has helped him grow his products to the most profitable level in their history. And here's the rub, without holding any authority over his team. How did he do this? Let's find out with my journey leading without authority, Hector Cabrera. And timekeeper, can we have time of 5 to 7 minutes, please? Lights at 5, 6, and 7.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters. Imagine this. What would you do if you were offered a job to turn around 2 money-losing plants that were in the verge of being closed, that were producing only commodity products in very different but competitive environments? Would you take that role? It seems like a great challenge. Actually, you could become a hero if you are able to turn it around, but at the same time, you could also be a villain if you fail. Now, what if I tell you this? This is your team. You cannot choose it. You cannot change it. And by the way, you have no authority over anyone. Would you still take that job? I was brave enough, or some other people would say dumb enough, to take it. Maybe not dumb, maybe naive. To be honest, I didn't know what I was getting into. I must say, I have no experience leading a team. Formally, actually, I still don't. At least that is to many HR and headhunters representatives. If you don't have 10 years plus experience leading a people with people reporting to you, you do not qualify for upper level management jobs. At least that has been my experience so far. But why did Savic choose me? After learning from this Pathways project, what are my leadership styles? I must say, I wasn't exactly sure. But then I learned. My styles are coaching, democratic, affiliative, and altruistic. However, I am weak on the bureaucratic and authoritative styles. When I was young, I spent many years of my youth group working on nonprofit organizations. First, it was my youth group at my local church. Then I was the faculty leader in the chapter, in my faculty chapter of the Young Leaders Association in my college. Finally, I was district representative for Rotarac, Rotary International Club for Young People. So what do these groups have in common? They were all volunteers. I had no authority over anyone. Somehow I needed to find a way to influence, to persuade, to build consensus so I could be successful with the vision I had given the group, for which at the end of the day, they had chosen me to be their leader in each one of these organizations. So I learned in these groups what the Toastmaster International Manual clearly outlines that every effective leader must do. You need to lead by example and have high levels of integrity so you can earn the trust of your team. You have to be flexible and open-minded so that you can build consensus, work with different people, different personalities. Nobody is really forced to do what you want to do. And finally, you have to be a very effective communicator, which is why I joined Toastmasters. In my work at SABIC, I am responsible for setting the vision of my product line. And I have to find a way to work with the commercial, manufacturing, technology, and finance teams. Each of those have their own objective. Sometimes they pull away from each other. They counteract. Let's say, for example, manufacturing would like to run the same product every day because once you set the machines, you don't want to move them. This is where you can have high yields. Commercial, on the other hand, they want to have a diversity of different products that can help you provide the customers with more alternatives, better margins, some products than others. In any way or form, they want to be everything for every customer. Finance is all about the numbers, making sure you make money, and technology wants to bring certain new developments, whether or not that's what the customer is asking for. Sometimes you just feel like you're being tied by all these groups pulling in different directions. But these primary leadership styles that you see below, where I have the strongest suit, have actually helped me to develop a very cohesive group of people leading with the same vision, finding ways to get ownership of one group to other groups' objectives and key performance indicators. Somehow making sure commercial feels the pain when manufacturing loses yield, but also the people running the lines wanting to serve the customers in the best possible way. And that's how we've been able to turn around two plants that were about to close to the most successful and profitable in the SABIC system. That all seems great. However, I've noticed that from some time on, I've been basically stuck in this position and not been able to grow. And I never realized that some of these leadership styles, bureaucratic and authoritative, are actually a positive thing. I always thought of them as negative just by the name, until I learned through this project that in such styles like bureaucratic, you need to establish rules and follow protocol. And in authoritative, you need to enforce those rules and give clear direction to your people. I've learned through this program, if I want to become a higher performance manager and grow in the organization, I need to grow in these other leadership styles and learn to use them for the right setting. And that is what I'm here sharing with you this message and inviting you to learn what is your leadership style, what are your strengths, and how could you learn from what you are missing to develop yourself in the best leader you can be, Mr. Toastmaster.
Congratulations, Hector. Serious congratulations on one of the best presentations of the leadership style projects I've ever seen. One of the things that I thought was really interesting that Hector just did then was he spoke about the integrity, respect, service, and excellence that is the cornerstone of Toastmasters and putting those into place. So well done. I'm not going to say any more. That's up to the evaluator, but I'd like to offer my personal congratulations on your leadership journey. Our second speech today is from a Toastmaster who has been a Toastmaster. Oh, can we get the time for that speech, by the way, Mr. Timekeeper?
With pleasure, Mr. Toastmaster. Unfortunately, Hector spoke for 7 minutes and 43 seconds, so he was a little over time.
Our second speech maker, our second speaker. That's what we call them in Toastmasters, our second speaker. Oh, Marty, do you want to just check that your microphone is working, by the way? Yes, there seems to be something not quite working there.
Okay, I think I have it turned on.
Yes, yep, we're right. Okay, thanks, Marty. Now, our second speaker tonight is Marty. Now, Marty's been a Toastmaster for more years than many in the audience here have been alive. He's an ATM silver in the old money, but today he's starting a new path in Pathways. We've allocated 5 to 7 minutes instead of the usual 4 to 6 for an icebreaker because it's Marty and because that was what was on my agenda. So that's what I've allocated. So Marty is going to be presenting a speech from the team collaboration pathway, level 1, mastering fundamentals, the icebreaker. And he's called this speech, I Call Myself Big Turtle. I call myself Big Turtle, Marty Sandler. Marty, I don't know what you've done, but your microphone is not working anymore.
It thinks it is.
Yeah, it is now.
Okay, I just wasn't facing toward it. That was the problem. Okay, I call myself Big Turtle. And why do I call myself Big Turtle? Well, it's really weird. It goes back to several things. There were 3 elements when you come down to it. There was a shirt involved, a turtleneck shirt, as you might guess. There was a job, actually my first job in my profession, and involved my mother. I have no idea where she got her ideas from, but she had ideas all over the place. And I'm also doing a horrible job on the TV, on the visual end of this. But that's how it goes. We'll survive. You see, it's like this. It started off with a shirt. What was the shirt? It was a turtleneck shirt, of course. This was some time ago. I don't even remember how far back. I just recently started working professionally in a place where we were expected to wear professional gear, which usually meant a tie, a shirt with a collar, a jacket, all that stuff. So there I was, all ready, except that after a few weeks of that, my spirit as a sort of rebel came to the fore. Why do I say sort of rebel? That's another speech in itself, which I will present, but I have led a rebellion of sorts, and I'll tell you all about it when the time comes. However, what I rebelled against in this case was collars and ties and tie tacks and strangling. It was a mess, frankly, I hated it. So one day I looked around and thought, there must be a better way. Well, at that time, men were just starting to wear turtleneck shirts as opposed to jackets and ties and stuff, or some wore jackets with a turtleneck shirt under the jacket. Very, very strange, but I liked it. So I bought myself a couple of turtleneck shirts and started wearing them to work. They were well received. I should mention I was the youngest and in many ways the oddest person at my installation, the only physicist. So in any event, I wore this thing, and then one weekend, this was the time when I was still very dependent on being home with my parents. I went, quote, home, and I walked in wearing my turtleneck shirt. My mother looked up. She was cooking dinner at the time. My mother, by the way, was a wonderful cook and instilled a liking for food that unfortunately still has its effects on me. So she looked at me, cocked her head, looked again, shook her head and said, "Hello, turtle." Hello, turtle. I'm a turtle? Well, I guess I look like one. It's turned out that there are many other connotations in that, most of them far from clean, and I'm not going to go into them now because this isn't the time or place for an off-color story. Anyway, I'm not sure I know the difference. But as I say, she said, "Hello, turtle." And I thought it was kind of cool. So I started following it. I bought another few turtleneck shirts. And then guess what happened? My employer moved me to the South, where it was never cold enough for a turtleneck to be a welcome sort of garb. It was hot. And when I moved to Florida, it was even hotter. Of course, one reason I moved to Florida was that I like it hot. I'm one of those people who likes hot weather. So, in any event, there I was with a bunch of turtleneck shirts, and I started wondering, well, what could I do with that might be amusing? And I finally did something smart. I got myself business cards that, instead of listing me as Marty Sandler, listed me as Big Turtle. And that is when I started calling myself Big Turtle, which I've continued to use as a joke in email and many other such places. I still think it's cool. And I'm done. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you for letting us know why Marty is Big Turtle. For many years, I've been known as the big round mound of sound, and I think there's probably a pretty fair indication of why that's the case. We have no prospective member speeches tonight, so we'll move straight now. Can I get the time for that speech, by the way, Jim? You might want to put it up into the chat as well.
I'll be posting in the chat in just a moment. Marty spoke for 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
6 minutes 15. Fabulous. So thank you for that. We're going to move on now to table topics. This is the extemporaneous section of the meeting where we all get to be quite affable and chat about whatever the subject is that we are given. Now, the reason that I find table topics so much fun and why I find the table topics so valuable is that this is the most real life form of public speaking that most of us will be called on to do. The boss rarely asks us to make a 7-minute presentation to the board, but she'll quite often ask us to give a 2 to 3 minute address to our colleagues telling us what's happening. So for us to get an opportunity to develop those skills, it is my great pleasure to introduce our table topics master for tonight. We will be learning, but that's not her name. It's in fact Kim Leeming. Please welcome table topics master Kim. All yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Graham, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. As Graham mentioned, we are now entering the impromptu portion of the meeting, table topics. As you know, today's theme is friendship. I love this theme, as friends are such an important and vital part of our lives. Before we begin, I'd like to share 2 friendship sayings. You're probably going to notice that I must have been hungry when I chose these quotes. First, Linda Grayson once said, "There is nothing better than a friend, unless it is a friend with chocolate." Another great one comes from Sesame Street's Cookie Monster. He said, "Sometimes me think what is friend, Then me say, friend is someone to share the last cookie with. Please also keep in mind that tonight's word of the day is affable. I will ask a question relating to friendship. When called upon, please answer the affable question. You will each have 1 to 2 minutes. The first table topic is, what was your favorite thing to do with your friends as a child that you would love to still be able to do as an adult? Toastmaster Angela Heath.
Topics master and fellow Toastmasters and friends. One of the favorite things I love to do with my friend was sing in the streets. Now, mind you, none of us could sing, but we were young, we were teenagers, and so we loved whatever songs were most popular at that time. And we would walk down the street, there were 4 of us, as if we could harmonize, and we would sing these songs that were popular very loudly. And oftentimes, honestly, people would gather around to hear us sing, not so much because we sounded good, but mostly because they couldn't believe that 4 girls who couldn't sing had the nerve to try to sing. But I wish even today I had a voice that I could use to serenade Toastmasters worldwide. I wish today I had a voice that I could use to capture the attention of admirers on the street. But alas, I don't. And my friend and I, one of my friends I'm still good friends with to this day, and you know what? Actually, when we visit each other, we still get the broomstick and we still sing, even though neither one of us sounds good. But keep in mind, if you can't sing and you got the smooth moves, most of the time, nobody even cares. Back to you, Topics Master.
Thank you, Angela. By the way, I would love to hear you serenade Toastmasters. Maybe you can do that during your next speech. For the second table topic, what small act of kindness were you once shown by your friends that you will never forget? Toastmaster guest Petra Kloradal.
Madam Topic Master, what one act of kindness did I share? What was the question again?
Oh, the question is, what small acts of kindness were you once shown by your friends that you will never forget?
What one act of small kindness I was once shared by my friend? Let me tell you this. When you share an act of kindness by someone and received by someone, actually, when it is involved an act of kindness, people give and receive at the same time. For example, when I walk on the street and I got lost and I asked the person how to get to certain places, and that person was helping me. Do you know that that person is feeling as good as I was receiving the information? So, and I could call him or her a friend. In 2001, when I first joined Toastmasters, it was Joanna McWilliams who was international president at that time. And her motto, her slogan was Toastmasters, friends, helping friends succeed. And I never forget that, because what is the affable meaning of friends is to help somebody like us, helping with evaluation, with introduction of speakers. We help each other all the time at one little meeting. And as one life goes through Toastmasters, so for so many years, one learned little act of kindness, affable doing that we could give to one another. So these are small acts of kindness that I will never forget. Table topic master.
Thank you, Petra. I love the idea of that people give and receive friendship at the same time, or acts of kindness. I thought that was wonderful. So the next table topic is, what is the most memorable vacation you've taken with your friends? Toastmaster Deborah Carr.
Thank you for that wonderful question. My friends and I, throughout the years, have taken many vacations, and some just short for the weekend, some for a week or so. Anyway, so one of the favorite one, I don't even know if there is a favorite one, because they're all so special, because we always laugh, we always share, there's stories that galore that go along with each and every time we've ever been together. Probably the most favorable one was when we went to Arizona we went all over. We went to Sedona, we went to all over the entire area, and it was just fabulous because we had a timeshare for a week. And what we did, we climbed, we drank, we slept in, we laid in the sun. It was just endless. It was fabulous. So, but overall, I don't know if it was with my friends or with my sisters or whatever, because we just blend together, and it's a wonderful time regardless. Anytime you're spending time with people and laughing and giving and sharing. Back to you, Madam Topic Master.
Thank you, Deborah. I loved what you said about Sedona, Arizona. I went for the first time this past March for our anniversary, and I would love to go back every time for every vacation to come. It was wonderful. Mm-hmm. Next table topic. What is the most valuable life lesson you learned from your friends? Toastmaster Carl Walsh.
Oh, that's an easy one to answer. In fact, I don't even have to be glib about it. I was in Heidelberg, Germany on a trip with a lot of my friends from high school and a teacher from our high school who happened to be a very good friend as well. And one of my friends and I, we were very excited that we could go into a bar and drink in Germany, that we were past their age limit. And we went in there and proceeded to get really drunk. And he happened to come along, the teacher came along, saw us in there and said, "Oh, you guys, I'll get you a drink. Let me get you a really great drink." And he had them mix up the most evil brew that you could ever imagine. And now we're past drunk. We're past drunk. And then he said, "Oh, guys, you can't walk back. I got the van outside. Come on, I'll take you home." So we piled into the van. Now, if you've ever been to Heidelberg, it's in a little river valley with hills on either side, with very steep hills. And he drove that van or on those mountain roads back and forth and back and forth. And we're just dying back there. He got us back to the hotel, and we learned one of the most valuable lessons in our lives about moderation and about having fun that is meaningful. And well, it may seem like a dirty trick to some of you, but actually it was an extremely affable act on his part, that he did that to us in a way that we could learn for ourselves a very important lesson. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Carl. Thanks for that valuable life lesson story you learned from an evil brew. I love that description. Next table topic. What about your friends makes you smile the most? Toastmaster Dr. Kieran Hall.
Thank you very much for Table Topic Master. So one of the things I absolutely love about my friends that makes me smile, it's one particular friend I can think about. Her name is Angie Fullerton. And I actually met her when I was 7 years old. I was entering a brand new school and she got pulled into the principal's office, kicking and fighting. And she is someone who takes on the world by really standing in her truth and really doing what she thinks is best. But what I love about this girl is that she has such a sense of humor that for her, when she thought about that time where she was just on the brink of getting kicked out of school, now many years later, and she thinks about it, she thought, this is the time that I met my best friend. So she has a way of turning just about everything that goes off, or everything that's, the way we would look at it, at the world, or the way we would see it is, oh, that's a horrible thing. She has a wonderful way of just seeing the glass always as half full, always as this is the fun. This is what made that special. And so that really makes me smile, because there's so many things, and especially, in this moment in time, that we can think about in a pessimistic way. But Ange, whenever I speak with her, even if we haven't spoken for like 2-3 years, we pick it up and it's as if it was yesterday. And whenever I speak with her, it's always this wonderful ability to be positive, optimistic, and everything is cheeky, smiley, the same 7-year-old who is kicking and fighting in the principal's office when we were age 7. Thank you to Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Dr. Kieran Hall. I love hearing stories about people with the glass half full attitude. I think that's a really lovely quality to have. Timer, Jim Barber, do we have time for additional table topics? And if so, how many do we have time for?
Madam Topics Master, I'm juggling programs here. Let's see. We have time, I would say, for one more table topics question.
Okay. So for the next table topic, what is the most spontaneous thing you've ever done with your friends? Toastmaster Nick Lacani.
The most spontaneous thing was a party. It wasn't just any party. It was a party with girls. Now, I was a bit younger then. We had one car. We had one person able to drive. The rest of us were all little, and we were excitable. And we were 50 miles from the party. None of our parents knew. I think I must have been about 15. But guess what? We went, we drove, we were excited, we were giggling, we were nervous. What do I say? What do I wish we had Toastmasters there. But look, it was a party. It was fun. There may have been a little bit of falling down water. We may have fallen down. There were girls. I didn't speak to any. I was too shy, as you know. But the experience of being there. Okay, yeah. The next time I went to one, I think I was a little bit better, but you have to go in step and you have to be spontaneous. We went, we were excitable all the way there. We were excitable and a little bit sort of slow-headed, slow thinking on the way back, but we enjoyed every minute. We enjoyed it because we were together. The 5 of us, one car, one party, 50 miles, there and back. And most of all, we watched the sun come up together. Back to you, Madam Topic Master.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for sharing that affable story about a party with girls. Timer, Jim Barber, could we please have a timer's report for the table topics?
Absolutely, Madam Topics Master. All of our participants qualified. I will post the exact times in the chat in just a moment.
Thank you, Jim. And now could everyone please cast your vote for the best table topic speaker? And while you're doing that, I'm going to leave you with one more. Bernard Meltzer once said, a true friend is someone who thinks that you are a good egg, even though he knows that you are slightly cracked. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Graham.
Thank you, Topics Master Kim. And I love the way that all of the topics today were chosen related to friendship. Madam General Evaluator, I'll just draw your attention to this. One of the things that I really like when I'm Toastmaster is when the Topics Master approaches me with some day's notice saying, hey, what's the theme? Because I want to choose table topics that match the theme that you have chosen. And Kim did that really well. So thank you. Time to move on now to the third section of the meeting. We've had the formal presentations, we've had the extemporaneous speeches, and as we all know, the most valuable part of the Toastmasters experience is the evaluation, because there's not much point in us sitting here flapping our gums if we don't get feedback, if we don't get suggestions on how we might improve and what we're doing well. To lead the evaluation session for this evening, including all of the reports from our timekeeper and our listener and our watcher and all of those people, I give you our general evaluator for this evening, the one, the only, don't swoon, she's only human. Here she is, Tricia Smith.
Oh, thank you so much. What a great introduction. I'm going to really try to be affable for the whole remainder of our meeting. And I'm thoroughly enjoying looking at everybody throughout the whole meeting and the backgrounds and all the support. So to introduce our first evaluator, it is an evaluator for Hector, and that is Richard Durling.
Thank you. Hector, I really want to compliment you on your speech today because you definitely showed your passion for the leadership journey that you are on. You use facial expressions, gestures, and quite frankly, your voice definitely brings everything that you're doing and brings that passion forward. Those are extremely important things in any speech. Always reach for that passion because that's what's going to make a speech really pop. You used references throughout your entire speech. You kept coming back to different things that you experienced. You even called up your team at one point or another and how that worked with you for your leadership efforts. You also use a lot of words, some of them like teamwork, integrity, respect, and more. Words that paint pictures are the most powerful tools we have as speakers. So keep that up. That's extremely well done. From my perspective, you definitely met the objectives of this speech. Now, I've got a couple of things I want to talk about to offer up some ideas to maybe make things work better for you in the future. The first one was distracting. I really, really liked your background with the Scrabble board, but I fear that it created a bit of an optical illusion for you because the board was on a bit of a slant and it almost forced me to think that you were looking down at me all the time. And you did, in fact, look down at sometimes, but you really did seem to be. So that's something to consider. Be careful with selecting what background you use. Another thing that I really, really liked was using the examples that you used throughout your speech. Great, affable way to really demonstrate that you were enjoying the leadership journey. But consider the less is more lesson. Shorten those up a little bit. Give a little bit of time for the audience to absorb what you've just shared and move on. it will actually help make the speech that much better. Another idea for you is to watch out for your gestures. If you watch me, I can cause my hands to come completely off the screen, or I can drop them way down where you can't see them, and I'm still making gestures. If you stand up or move back from the camera so we can see you from the waist up, I think it'll help. And your gestures are powerful, my friend, so give that a lot of thought. My last suggestion for you is to consider taking and creating in your next speech a thread. Now you do this, I've seen you do, I've heard you do it in the past, but start with some kind of an opening phrase that some way you come back to the end and reflect it. That way the speech is tied together in a nice, neat package. This works regardless of how long the speech is. And even better, a technique that really works well in my experience, is to actually have some kind of a phrase that you use for your transitions from one thought or idea to another. I could think up of an example really quickly, but I really wasn't able to here. So it's something, if you'd like to talk about it, I'd be glad to share my ideas in that space. Again, overall, I think you met the objectives of the speech. Well done, and a couple of ideas for you to consider in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rick. That was wonderful, thorough, detailed, very valuable feedback and techniques we can all use. For the next evaluator, I'm going to introduce Ms. Carolina Ramirez, who's going to evaluate Marty.
Thank you, Patricia. Good afternoon, or maybe good morning or good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Marty is working in the path team collaboration in his icebreaker, which main objective is to introduce himself and identify his strength and some things to improve. And Marty excelled at many things. It was an entertaining and affable story. The volume, the vocal variety, and the pace of his voice allowed to follow the story very easily. And Marty excelled the way he connected with the audience through his story. I could see the people of the audience smiling and listening very carefully. I was listening very carefully. I felt very relaxed following the story. It was definitely a strength of Marty. Some things to improve, Marty, the visual aids. Because you were showing us some draws, yes, some papers in front of the screen, but because of the filters, I could not see very well what you were trying to show us. Maybe next time you can maybe eliminate the filters of Zoom, and that way we can see more your pictures, and I would love to see what you were trying to show in us. And you definitely achieved your goal. We could know more about you, about your personal story. And personally, it was a pleasure and a privilege to me to see a very experienced Toastmaster here. And I love to see your next speech and enjoy another story from you. Patricia, back to you.
Thank you, Carolina. Very good suggestions, remarks, and feedback. Now, moving on, I just want to remind everybody to make sure that you voted for the best speaker, the best evaluator, and the best table topic presenter to our vote counter. And our vote counter is Evelyn Young, I believe. And now we can go on to our reports for our other roles in the support group that helps us through this meeting. So I'll start with the watcher. And our watcher is Miss April.
Good evening or good morning. Thanks to everyone who shared their video. I enjoyed seeing your affable faces. I noted a handful of you that didn't share your video, which is fine because we are at the age of Zoom fatigue, but we are also in an online environment. So of course, we have to understand our assignment, because imagine giving a speech to a screen full of photo stills of pictures or black screens with names on them. I'm not sure if you ever did a presentation in front of that. It's kind of not really encouraging, engaging. So just my little 2 cents. So if someone's giving a speech, you just may want to share your video just for that piece, because it may just be encouraging to help those people for that portion. And then maybe for the other portions, if you can, it's okay to turn your video off at that point, but if you can, when they're giving their speech, definitely, if you can, turn your video on. For the most part, everyone had great lighting. There were a couple that were not centered. I have a habit of leaning to the side, so I will self-admit that. I want to give kudos to Rick, Toastmaster Rick Durling, during his evaluation. I just love how when he stands up giving his evaluation, even when sitting down, it's a great example of how well centered he is. It's almost like even his eye centering with the screen is almost like a perfect picture example of how everyone should be. And even when he's standing up, he also he's still somehow it's perfect picture of how everyone should be as well. Great job. Not sure how you're able to do it, but great job how you're able to do that sitting down and standing up. But everyone, great job this afternoon, during this afternoon's meeting or this morning's meeting, wherever you may be. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, April. Now we'll hear from Lewis Brown, our chat monitor.
Thank you, Madam GE. The chat was fairly light on, say, key items that I otherwise might present. We do have the link to the celebration information that's at TMI. And I just want to point out a few things, though. I really like how we use the chat in a key way, meaning putting the times of the speeches in there, as well as using it for voting. I don't know, those of you who are in the non-advanced clubs, the traditional clubs, if you shared how we use the chat feature here with them. I know the other clubs that I'm in, they don't use it that way at all. So it's really a great feature and a great approach that we do for the chat box and even having a chat monitor. So certainly encourage everyone to do that. Otherwise, that's about it. Madam GE, back to you.
Thank you, Lewis. Good report on the chat. And don't forget the link that we have that's been shared as well. Thank you for that. The next report is from Andrew Byrne, our grammarian.
Well, thank you very much. I listened carefully, and Graham chose a word that everybody really liked. Everybody was affable, glib, and Pam even went into the chat and had a sentence where glib, affable, and all the words that we're talking about were in there. People were very loquacious and glib, and they reached out to get paintings with words throughout the meeting. There were also other interesting words that were brought into place, and those included spontaneous, expandable, and of course, the word affable. We did a very good job, and you're all to be congratulated.
Thank you, Andrew. Great examples. We're such a good group here for using those word of the day, and we are so affable. The next report is coming from Andres Polanco as the odd counter.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. I had a really easy job. It shows that we're advanced club, and we even have advanced guests in our club with almost no filler words. However, I've still noticed a few things that could be improved in my view. Mr. Graham Carnes, our Toastmaster of the day, please look out on the use of R. I've counted 5 R in your presentation, in your speeches. Then Madam Dr. Kieran Hall, our table topic speaker number 5, I've noticed you knows, you know, been used, in my view, a bit more frequently than it perhaps could be. And then Carolina Ramirez, please look out for the use of word and. Perhaps you could switch it to, well, you know, and other filler words. overall, it shows that we're a really advanced club and I had an easy job. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Andre. Good report for everybody. Hooray. Now, the last report's coming from our vote counter. So we got a drum roll here, and our vote counter is Evelyn Young.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled to announce the best speaker evaluator and table topic speaker today. The best speaker today goes to a Toastmaster who has been Toastmaster for more years than most of us here have been alive, Marty Sandler. Give him a round of applause. And the best table topic speaker today goes to someone who loves to party with girls, Nick Lacani. Last but not least, the best evaluator today goes to a Toastmaster who suggests a speaker to create thread in his speech. Who is he? Rick Darling. Back to Patricia.
Thank you. Congratulations to Marty, Nick, and Rick. Awesome job. Now, just to kind of summarize my observations as general evaluator, I was paying attention to the backgrounds. So who were the members that had the backgrounds that were based on the themes? We've got, I don't know if you can see mine. Here, I'll move. There it is. Jim Barber, Lewis, and Kim. Let's see if I missed anybody. I think that was it. So kudos for the backgrounds that are based on the theme. And another big hit was I really like the nature background. So Petra had a still life with the flower and the butterfly, and we've got Evelyn had a moving background, so I really liked her palm tree. And Pamela Benjamin, I'm not sure, she could kind of qualify for the friendship in a sunset, kind of both maybe. And Andre has a really wonderful fall setting. So kudos on the background. Everybody stayed centered in their screen, and I just loved how it was so obvious everybody was paying attention and using good listening skills and being supportive of all the other members and helping the speakers along and staying on track. I loved a lot of the phrases that have already been acknowledged, but they're so worth saying again. Some of them, Petra, she did a phenomenal job with her table topics. People give and receive acts of kindness at the same time. I thought that's phenomenal. And Deb Carr, it doesn't matter who you're with as long as you're enjoying yourself. Carl, lessons learned about moderation. We can all learn from that one. Those were some of the main ones that I wanted to point out. I was also curious who our blue sky timer was. Let's see if they're still there. Yeah, who's our blue sky timer? I'm not sure.
It's a bit of software that was offered to the club and it was installed, but I don't believe we actually use it.
Oh, okay. That was a new one. No name behind that one. Otherwise, everything was on track. It's 7:53 Central Standard Time, 8:53 Eastern Standard Time right now. So everybody's doing a great job. I'm going to turn it back to our Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Graham Carnes. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Thank you, Toastmasters and friends. Friendship, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, was the theme of this meeting. And I like to think most of us will never actually meet face to face. I mean, those of you who are in Southern Florida, there is a chance, but those of us who are in Australia or the Caribbean or Europe or Chicago or wherever we are, or even Manchester of all places, we're not likely to meet each other face to face. But I'd like to think that by coming together each week the way that we do, by learning from each other in moments of enjoyment, that we become friends, perhaps not the fast sort of friends that we heard about referred to in some of the table topics, but friends nevertheless. And I thank you for being a friend today. And I thank you for your contributions to this meeting. That's all that I have. I'll now hand control back to the president, who can then call on the VPE to, well, actually, probably the president should first ask the guests if they have anything they want to say. Then he can call on the VPE. But look, I'm not going to tell them what to do. That's their job. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your club president. Yay!
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. A round of applause for Graham Cairns. Always does a wonderful job as Toastmaster. And you know, the fact that he even knows what I'm about to say goes to show you how well we all do work together. I mean, friendship is just really touching the surface of all of this. We all really get to know each other so well that in our meeting format, I should say, that we really know how things go. We run a tight ship. And Graham, I couldn't agree more. I work by myself, and oftentimes I don't use Zoom, so I'm on a phone. And just being able to see everyone at these weekly meetings and some of the other clubs I go to, and the limited time I do spend on Zoom in other circumstances, I tell you, it just helps me to keep my sanity. So it's really great that we have these meetings. I appreciate all of you. We are just about near the tail end. As Graham mentioned, we would love to hear from Petra. I know, Petra, this is your second meeting, I believe. Hopefully you've gained something even new and different this time than from the first meeting. Would you like to share?
Thank you, Mr. President. As usual, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from everything, from everyone. Thank you for being my teacher.
Thank you very much, Petra. Appreciate your feedback. Our VPM, I know you mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that you just love us so much that you would love to come on board and join us. Our VPM, Marianne Grady, is not with us tonight. However, I am going to put my email in the chat. Feel free to send me an email and we'll get you hooked up with the VPM and you can communicate with her from this point forward.
She said she would, but she hasn't.
Okay, very good. You know what? Feel free to send me an email and I'll talk with Marianne. Okay, I know she's had a couple of personal issues going on, so that could be why the delay. So thank you for that and appreciate your patience. We, again, are just at the tail end. I do not have host control, so I will officially call this meeting closed and ask our host to turn off the recording.